Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Samvedna Psyche. This video is specifically for IGNOU MAPC Psychology first year students from the July 2024 and next year January 2025 batches. In this video, I am sharing the assignment solutions for MPC-001, that is Cognitive Psychology, Learning and Memory, to help you with your submissions. These solutions are well prepared and can be used as they are, or if you would like, you can add your own touch while writing your assignments. I hope this video helps you complete your work easily and effectively. As all of you are new to this course, being first year students, I would like to inform you about the assignment submission deadlines. For the July 2024 batch, the last date to submit your assignments is March 31st, 2025, and this is usually extended until April 30th. For the January 2025 batch, the deadline is October 30th, 2025, which is typically extended until the end of November. However, I highly recommend completing and submitting your assignments on time to avoid any last minute rush. Also remember, it's not just about writing the answers. Presentation matters as well. Make sure you include the first page with the necessary details which I am sharing with you. It's important to present your assignments neatly and as per the IGNOU guidelines to make a good impression. So pay attention to both the content and the way you present that content. So the first page will look like this, having the IGNOU logo with the name. Here you have to mention your enrollment number, name and address which you have registered with IGNOU. Program title MAPC Masters of Arts Psychology. This will be common for all the assignments. Session here mention whether you belong to July 2024 session or January 2025 session. Course title is same as the program title which is mentioned above. Course code is MAPC and this will be common for all the assignments. Assignment number, it is mentioned in your assignment question paper for each paper. So for this particular paper, the assignment number is MPC-001. Then mention the study center you have enrolled yourself and phone number and email ID you have registered with IGNOU. Date and signature, this you can fill on the day of submission. Put the date on which you are doing the submission and sign it. After the first page or the front page, you have to attach a copy of the question paper. So just take a Xerox and put it there. As you can see, I have also put the question paper here. And from this, you get an idea that each question paper have 3 sections having different marks and word limits. And we have to follow these to get good marks. If you don't follow the word limits, you definitely lose marks for that too. And finally, we start writing the answers. Before you start writing the answer, again in the answer sheet, you have to mention all these details. The subject code, tutor marked assignment, course code, assignment code, etc. And this is given in your question paper. You just have to copy it from there. Let's see how to write the answers now. Section A. Question 1. Describe the stage model of memory by Atkinson and Shiffrin. So while writing the answers, take care that you leave a left margin of approximately 2 inches. And after every answer, leave 3 or 4 lines and then start the next question. And in every answer, give a brief introduction wherever possible and give headings and subheadings wherever possible so that you can highlight what you are mentioning in your answer. So the first paragraph, as you can see, I have written the introduction that it was introduced by Richard Atkinson and Richard Shiffrin in 1968, and it helps in understanding how information is processed, stored and retrieved. It is also known as multi-store model as it comprises of distinct stages and information is stored at different places like sensory memory, short-term memory and long-term memory. and then you will give these three headings and explain about these. So the first of all, the sensory memory. Sensory memory is the stimulus which is received by the sensory organs and from their surrounding external or internal environment. So as they are perceived by the sensory organs, the time period for which they are retained in the memory is very short. For visual stimuli, it is around half second, and for auditory stimuli, it's only 4 to 5 seconds. So the main function of the sensory memory is to hold the information which is received by the sensory organs long enough so that it can be processed and can be stored further in short-term memory or long-term memory. And for sensory memory to be retained for some time at least, it is very important to pay attention to the information or the stimulus which we are receiving. Then second one is short-term memory. It is also known as working memory, and it holds the information for a brief period slightly longer than the sensory memory, that is approximately 20 to 30 seconds. And this is referred as active or conscious part of memory because only that sensory memory will come to short term memory to which we have paid the attention. So that is why we call it active or conscious. And another thing is, according to George Miller, short term memory can hold approximately 7 plus minus 2 units, that is 5 to 9 units of information at any given time. And this way we can store a large information by breaking up into small chunks, small pieces of 7 plus minus 2 units. Short term memory, if it has to be transferred to long term memory, then rehearsal or repetition is very important, because when we rehearse or repeat something, then it becomes permanent in long term memory. It goes to the long term memory. And the last one, long term memory. This memory is very long lived memory. It may be present throughout the life of the person or maybe of short duration also. That all depends upon the information, the importance of the information. If the information is important, it will be retained for a longer period of time. If it is repeated, it will be uh, retained for a longer period of time. Otherwise, you may forget that also. Then there are various types of long term memory, so you have to explain those also: declarative memory, episodic memory, semantic memory, and procedural memory. So discuss all of them and then conclude your answer by writing what all you have discussed in it. So the memory which is stored in the sensory register, it is selected by the individual and then transferred to short term memory. In the short term memory, it may be processed and it may be repeated or rehearsed, and then it may be transferred to long term memory. And it is not always that from sensory memory information will go to short term and then long term. Sometimes from sensory it may directly go to long term memory also. Although this process is not very clear till now how this happens. So although this model is quite old, but despite updates from the later research, this is still the fundamental concept in understanding human memory. Now, here we conclude our answer, and as you can see, between this answer and the next question, I have left 1 or 2 lines, but you will leave 3 to 4 lines. Question 2. Describe the different domains of cognitive psychology. Highlight the key issues in the study of cognitive psychology. And as you can see in the brackets, I have mentioned diagram, page 9, block 1, unit 10. So wherever you find something written like this, it means you have to include that diagram from that particular block, unit or page. So I have given everything. Because of shortage of time, I could not include the diagram, but you do that. Domains of cognitive psychology, there are 12 domains, and each domain you have to give the heading and then describe it. Starting with cognitive neuroscience. perception, pattern recognition, attention, consciousness, memory, representation of knowledge, cognitive psychology imagery, language, developmental psychology, thinking and concept formation, and human and artificial intelligence. And then we move on to the key issues. Next main heading will be key issues in cognitive psychology. So there are various key issues. So for each key issue, you have to give the heading and then discuss it. So for example, for nature versus nurture, people, or you can say cognitive psychologists, they have doubts whether the cognitive abilities, they are because of the nature, that is they are genetic or hereditary, or nurture, that is environmental experiences. Similarly, you have to discuss the other key issues also: rationalism versus empiricism, structures versus processes, domain generality versus domain specificity, validity of causal inference versus ecological validity, applied versus basic research, and biological versus behavioral methods. And then conclude your answer. Again, leave 3-4 lines and start your next question. Explain the stages and strategies of problem solving. In this answer, again, we have to mention two main headings. One is stages, the second is strategies. So there are different stages, and as you know by now that you have to give the heading for each one and then discuss it. So for the first one, problem identification, next problem definition, generating possible solution, evaluating and selecting solution. Once the solutions are selected, then implementing the solution. And once the solutions are implemented, finally monitoring and evaluating the outcomes. Next, you have to discuss strategies for problem solving. So there are various strategies which you have to discuss, like algorithm, heuristic, generate and test, means and analysis, backward search, planning strategy, thinking aloud. And along with these, there are some additional strategies. So just briefly mention them, like abstraction, divide and conquer, hypothesis testing, lateral thinking, method of focal objects, reduction, research, root cause analysis, trial and error, and brainstorming. And with this, finally conclude your answer. Question 4. Describe the connectionist model of memory by Rumelhart and McClelland. The connectionist model is also known as parallel distributed processing model, and it suggests that mind operates in a parallel distributed manner, similar to how the neural network is the network of neurons in a brain or the body. It is based on the idea that all the cognitive processes and interactions, they are because of the number of processing units, and the processing units are often similar to the neurons. Then another feature of this model focuses on the representation of knowledge and memory. And it says that the information is not stored in a single location, but it is distributed in a network all over the place, that is the brain. It also addresses the problem of interference in memory retrieval. It means if you want to retrieve a particular type of memory, say a tennis player's name, so that time there are some inhibitory process which will inhibit the other information which is not related to the tennis players. Besides this, it also helps in understanding the prototype learning. And finally, you will conclude your answer. Question 5. Describe the aspects and stages of creativity. In this answer, again you have to mention two main headings with their subheadings or points. So first one will be aspects of creativity and second one will be the stages of creativity. So let's see what should be included in the aspects. It includes fluency, flexibility, originality, elaboration, abstractness of titles, and resistance to premature closure. Stages of creativity, a 4-stage model was proposed by Graham Wallace, which includes preparation, incubation, illumination, and verification. And with this, you'll conclude your answer. Question 6. Discuss Guilford's structure of intellect theory. This was introduced by Guilford in 1956 and it offers a multi-dimensional view of the intelligence. Prior to this, only unidimensional view or single view of the intelligence was there. So according to the Guilford's model, intelligence is composed of different but related abilities. And this model has three main dimensions, which are content, operation, and product dimensions. So these will become your main headings in the answer. Content dimension, it keeps the information into categories based on which cognitive process they operate, like visual, auditory, symbolic, semantic, and behavioral. Operations dimension, it identifies the type of mental processes which are used to handle the information, whether it is cognition, memory, divergent production, convergent production, or evaluation. And product dimensions, this categorizes the outcome after the operation dimension has taken place. So it can be unit, class, relation, system, transformation, and implication. So initially the model had 120 factors, later it expanded to 150. So 150, how it will be, as you can see here, there are 5 dimensions in contents, 5 in operation, and 6 in products. So 6 fives are 30 and 30 fives are 150. So that is why we are saying 150. And then you'll conclude this with for what it was criticized, as people criticized it because of its complexity and narrow focus, but still it has helped a lot in the research work. Question 7. Describe Spearman's two-factor theory of intelligence. As you can see, I have written diagram given in block 2, unit 1, page 12. It means you have to include this diagram. Now, what to write in this? First, you'll write the introduction, that it was introduced in 1904, and then you will tell what is the main concept of this theory. The main concept is about intelligence, that there are two main types of intelligence, or two main factors are there of intelligence. One is general intelligence or G factor, and the second one is specific intelligence or specific factors or small s. Now, when we talk about the G factor or general factor, it is a broad factor that influences the performance of the individual across various mental tasks. And S factor, it is specific to the task, to a particular task or the test. So although these two are different, but they are interlinked, that you have to discuss here. Besides these two factors, another important thing which was there in Spearman's theory was tetrad difference. So this tetrad difference also just have to mention briefly. The main concept is G factor and S factor only. After discussing G factor, S factor and the tetrad difference, mention what was the criticism, why it was criticized, and then conclude your answer. Question 8. Describe the environmental and cultural blocks to problem solving. So environmental and cultural blocks both are based on physical and environmental as well as cultural conditioning. And environmental blocks include management style, distraction, physical discomfort, lack of support, stress, lack of communication, monotonous work, and expectation of others. While cultural blocks include unquestioning acceptance of the status quo, dislike of change. People believe that fantasy and humor are not productive, while it's not true. Feelings, intuition, and subjective judgments are unreliable. This is also not true. Overemphasis on competition or cooperation, and taboos. Now let's move on to section C. Answer 9 is about levels of processing model. Answer 10 is Hebb's law. 11th, you have to discuss role of hippocampus in memory. 12th, You have to discuss Bloom's taxonomy of cognitive domain. In 13th, you have to write the principles of information processing. In question number 14, you have to answer the difference between the well-defined and ill-defined problem. Question 15, you have to answer what is the relationship between creativity and intelligence. In question 16, you have to answer it by writing the benefits of multilingualism. Then in answer 17, mention what are phonemes and morphemes. And answer 18 is problem space hypothesis. And with this, we conclude our assignment solution. Thank you for watching. I hope these solutions will assist you in completing your assignments. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with others who might also need help with their assignments. Feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions or need further clarification on any topic. Good luck with your assignments, and I wish you all the best in your studies. See you in the next video.